I have a lot of what some people might call, no pun intended, shortcomings. I have a strong thirst for strong drink. I use the word cunt fairly often in casual conversation, and I own and enjoy a lot of Steely Dan albums. But ever since that fateful night in 1978 when I was projected from my mother's private parts, there have been two things that I'm admittedly horrible at. Sleeping and bathing. When I was a child, it would take my mother hours to get me into the bath. And it was a processional of bribery, deception, and violence worthy of a Jason Bourne film. But she was smart, and she knew that she had a nerdy child. So she'd often set up all of my Star Wars action figures on the edge of the tub, and then would create and reenact the most intricate fan fiction the world has ever known, simply to get me near soap. But once I was in there, I wouldn't leave. I mean, the Mr. Bubble would be popped and the water would be cold and tepid, lips blue, teeth chattering, fingers and other extremities all cold and shriveled and pruny. Finish the story, woman! I need to know what happens to Admiral Akbar next! She couldn't get me in the tub, but she couldn't get me out. My girlfriend once proposed installing a stripper pole in the bathroom because I'm a grown-ass man for whom bathing still requires an incentive and rewards program.
True story.
And that's sad. She's gonna kick my ass for that, but it's sad. It's an awesome idea, honey, but it's still a sad judgment on me. And in the same way, I still really suck at sleeping. When I was an infant, I was never colicky or cranky. I would simply wake up around dinner time and chill out in my crib talking gibberish until dawn, and then I'd pass out, like what I'm doing now. But every morning, my mom would actually have to run my feet under cold water just to wake me up long enough to get me dressed and then strap me back into the stroller so I could pass out again. And as a teenager, I was still essentially a nocturnal creature, but now I had to get up at 6 a.m. every morning to go to school. And when you add a heroic dose of pubescent hormones, you spend a lot of nights staring at the ceiling while your synapses start firing like a Japanese pachinko parlor. The girl you haven't kissed, and the guy who beat you up last week, the algebra test you didn't study for, the table in the lunchroom you're hoping to sit at, the real meaning of that Pink Floyd song you just listened to. It's all bouncing around in there like a shih tzu on angel dust, and every 3 minutes, you stare at that alarm clock, and you realize it's just 3 minutes later, and you're still not asleep. And not much has changed since then. I still can't get to sleep before 3 a.m., but now I have an arsenal of drugs and alcohol that I can ingest to get the voices to quiet down a little bit, because if I don't take them, my brain starts doing crunches. It's like that fucking guy that you all know on Facebook who's really into CrossFit. And he's posting his stats 3 times a day. That's my brain when I lie down. If I don't take these chemicals, I stare at the ceiling till dawn, trying to devise ways to pay the rent and trying to remember the Fibonacci sequence and intermittently singing this chorus to that song in the Karate Kid final competition sequence. You're the best around, no one's ever gonna keep you down. And now that's in all of your heads, so sleep well tonight. But when I wake up, all that is mostly gone. For another 9 minutes. My girl wakes up and gets ready and leaves for work, and I'm lying there, and all I'm thinking is, I love you, baby, have a great day, I just need 9 more minutes. I mean, it's just like the tub. You can't get me to go to sleep, and you can't get me to wake up. Every alarm clock I've ever owned has a small yet wonderful feature. A snooze button. That remarkable gateway to 9 more minutes. I have 10 fingers on my hands. I've got 10 toes on my feet. Everything around us is a decimal-based number system. 10 minutes I get. 5 minutes, that's half a 10, I get that. But why 9? I don't know! Maybe because it's just enough to make you feel like you're cheating life. And it's just enough to make you actually feel alive. And perhaps, just perhaps, it's the perfect interval to unlock a door. Because when you lie in bed, as I often do, and you hit that snooze bar over and over and over and over and over again, as I often do, you get to have those little dreams. The weird ones, but the ones that inspire you. The ones that you wake up aware of, the ones you can actually explain, the ones that give you back something in some weird way. They make you think once you wake up. This liminal mind space, this like demilitarized zone between your subconscious and consciousness, it's crucial because most of us, sorry, we don't daydream anymore. I mean, think about when you were a kid, when you were a child. Daydreaming was not only allowed, it was encouraged, it was fostered, it was tantamount to your being. You sat on the stoop, or you played in the yard, and you had imaginary friends, and you picked up a stick or a can, and you made a fucking game out of it. You made up a story, you made up rules, and no one had to be around to play along. You just did what your brain told you to, and you occupied yourself, and you made something. In this day and age, that's called ADHD. And the grown-ups who call it that, they don't daydream. And most of us, myself included, we've forgotten to give ourselves the time to imagine. Or if we do take the time to imagine, we plan time for it. It's 11:15 a.m. Everybody in the Western Conference Room, we're gonna brainstorm! Fuck that noise. Fuck your job. Fuck you. Go home. Take those 9 minutes for yourself. Listen to those thoughts. You're half awake, so it's not a fool's errand. It's simply a part of the youth that you forgot to remember. So tonight, when all of you get home, set that alarm clock to wake you up 9 minutes early. Please. And hit the button tomorrow morning and take the time to dream. And then take your Star Wars figures into the shower and get ready for work and your job. Because what you have to remember is that the snooze button it's a small thing. But it's still the biggest fucking button on that clock. Thank you.